Well, we've just been watching Everton get humiliated by Spurs at Goodison Park. 6-2 the final score. So many goals, Brian, that during commentary I forgot how many Spurs it even got. But it was a stunning display of attacking football from Tottenham.
Yeah, and right from the off, they were creating chances once the game got into a rhythm after 7 or 8 minutes. And even though Everton went ahead, I feared for them a bit because I thought Spurs were getting in so easily down those what I would call the old inside left and inside right channels behind the full backs. Everton were exposed by playing with a 4-4-2 really, or 4-4-1-1 with Sigurdsson off the front. But the two centre backs, Keane and Zuma, were not able to handle the fact that Spurs had two up front. Coleman was Seamus as he does was trying to get forward on the right hand side, but they got in time after time down that left channel. And although they could have been two up had Calvert Lewin's header been allowed and given them a two-goal lead, I just felt Spurs always looked likely to score goals, and the game was too open from Everton's point of view.
All four of the attacking players that started for Spurs scored. Kane got two, Son got two, Ericsson got one, Dele Alli got one, and we rave all the time, rightly, about Harry Kane and Christian Eriksen and Dele Alli. But Heung-Min Son often goes under the radar a little bit. Is he, in some ways, the most underestimated, underappreciated player in the Premier League?
I would think that's a fair assessment, but not by Spurs fans. I think he got 18 goals last season in all competitions, which is some record for someone who's generally playing wide or now and again might be playing off the front behind Harry Kane. But this situation where he is now playing centrally, as he did the other night against Arsenal and played very, very well, no Harry Kane, he was the lone front man, scored a great goal to give Spurs the lead. Today, his movement and understanding. We've often talked in the past about the understanding between Ericsson, the intuition between Ericsson and Harry Kane. Now they've added that to Son, who generally in previous seasons has played wide, more often from the left hand side, cutting inside, but now playing centrally or wide on either side. He knows what's going on. He can read the runs of Harry Kane, vice versa. And those middlemen, Ali, Ericsson, Winks rather playing behind him, can pick him out with passes. But you have to taper that a little bit by saying Everton were poor defensively and the centre backs weren't well organised. Pickford didn't do well. He didn't organise them well. He made a fatal error on the first goal when he came running out to get to a ball that Zuma was dealing with. And they basically bumped into each other and laid the ball off for Son to take it. But it was an awkward angle for him to score. But he's become a very important player for Spurs. Missed a lot of the early part of the season, obviously, when he was away playing with his country in the Asian Games. And he's in full flow now that he's back. And I think they're using him cleverly. They're not playing him every match. He's not starting every match or finishing every match, but he seems to be in great form and in very confident mood.
18 games in, and rather strangely, Spurs have yet to draw a game. They've won 14, they've drawn 4, and they're now, with Manchester City's defeat yesterday, just 2 points off second place, 6 behind Liverpool. Liverpool have City to come over this Christmas period. When you watch Spurs today and how good they were in an attacking sense, is there still the possibility that they can make this a three-way title race?
I don't think so, Nathan. I just think that they lack enough depth in the squad to do that when it comes to the big games. I mean, they're in a position where they led against Arsenal away in the Emirates three weeks ago, and they were beaten 4-2. Ultimately, they weren't good enough. They looked at actually there was periods in that game where they looked at jaded team, and Arsenal came on strong, and they weren't able to deal with them. They kind of Spurs are almost in a situation where they've only one way of playing, and that's to dominate games. Now, we can't always dominate the opposition, and when you're not dominating the opposition, you need to be able to defend with great resilience and with a structured midfield. I think that the balance of that diamond in midfield with Ericsson, Sissoko and Winks as it is at the moment and Ali ahead of them isn't good enough to keep out the best teams. They've lost big games this year to Liverpool, Manchester City, and they've been beaten by Arsenal away and Watford away. But the two home defeats, you can say they've had no draws, but those defeats against three of the other teams they're competing for the European places for, and for the title, they've lost to both Liverpool and Manchester City, are kind of critical defeats. So I think they're just lacking a bit of real strength. Like, they lack the ability against those teams to just eke out a 1-0. Instead of that, they're losing narrowly by the one goal, or in the Arsenal case, a 4-2 in a frantic match like today with loads and loads of chances. They have shown that they can not play brilliantly and scrap out a 1-0 as they done at Crystal Palace, and they did with Burnley last week, and last minute goal from Eriksen in the game. It looked like they were going to drop 2 points, but I just think they're a bit short. They've got a lot of injuries at the moment. They're managing the situation very well, and the players are responding. The likes of Winks and Sissoko have stepped up and are doing a superb job. Lucas Moura is doing the stuff this season after settling in there for half of last season. Sanchez is improving, although he's a bit ropey today coming back into the team. Alderweireld, very good. I'm missing Vertonghen. Good options in the full back positions, to be fair to him. Goalkeeper, not having the best of seasons, I don't think.
Making a lot more mistakes, it seems.
Yes, making mistakes and goals going in that you're questioning. You say, well, could he have done a bit better on that? So for those reasons, and also the fact, if Harry Kane ever missed the 2 or 3 month period, would they be as clinical as we saw them as a unit? I know he didn't play the other night against Arsenal, they won the match, but I don't think Llorente or Son could be relied upon to lead the line and win them big games on a regular basis. If that happened, I think they need another option there.
We'll be at Anfield on St Stephen's Day for Liverpool against Newcastle. Liverpool head into Christmas 4 points clear at the top of the Premier League after Manchester City's defeat. When you look at the title race now then, and all the talents that Manchester City have, but having lost a couple of games recently now, and Liverpool just keeping this winning run going, would you have Liverpool as favourites for the title right now?
I wouldn't, but I think it's great the way it is. I mean, we've let's be honest, we've been all a little bit bored with the title race in recent years. There hasn't been one, whether it's Manchester City or Chelsea. It's kind of been done and dusted by Christmas time, after the period of 4 games around Christmas. And I think Manchester City didn't lose a game until match 21, maybe last year, 21 or 22.
Yeah, the game against Liverpool.
Yeah, so we're already at a stage after 18 games that they've lost 2 and they've drawn 2. So they've dropped, 10 points they've dropped already this season. Last season, I think they only dropped 14 altogether. They got 100 points, not like 3 is 24. Yeah, 14 points in the whole season last year. They've dropped 10 already. Now, I said before the season began, if anyone else is to have a title challenge this year, they needed the other teams to do better against Manchester City than just Liverpool. Liverpool were the only team that were able to beat them last year, European Cup and League, until very late on. This year, we've seen Wolves do a job and get a draw. I think Chelsea got a draw. Was it Chelsea got a draw? 2 defeats. Chelsea beat them. Chelsea beat them. And they've lost yesterday.
They drew with Liverpool
Crystal
as well,
Palace. Yeah. Sorry, it was the wrong order with Liverpool and Chelsea. They lost 3-1 to Crystal Palace yesterday. So other teams are standing up a little bit and say, well, we can do something rather than just sit back and get beaten and keep the score down. In fairness, Crystal Palace did a great job on them yesterday. They've got brilliant forwards and they scored wonderful goals. But it did show a vulnerability in City. Kyle Walker was poor yesterday on a couple of the goals, I thought. But that gives out. So are Liverpool favourites because they're ahead? I'd say no. Manchester City are still favourites because they won it so easily last year. They have not. They've improved the team by signing better players. Some of the players are maturing well. They've great balance around the team. But we've seen now there can be chinks in the performances. It's not just continuous wins. And that, at least we're going to have a title race. And fair play, Spurs are giving it a go. The rest, I think Chelsea are falling away in recent weeks, beaten again at the weekend. Arsenal are not going to be good enough either. So it comes down to those 3. But I think I hope I'm not right, but I think it'll come down to the 2. And no matter what way the results go over Christmas, it'll still be a title race because Liverpool have a 4-point lead. Even if Liverpool lost 2 or 3 games, they're not going to be too far off. I don't think they lose 2 or 3. They're managing the games very well too, and it's smashing for all of us that like competition like games that matter. In recent seasons, towards the end of the season, the only question is who's going to make the Champions League place. And last year there wasn't even a question about that when it came into the last couple of games. It was already done and dusted. This year it looks like it might be a bit closer, though it looks like 5 for 4 spots at the moment, unless Manchester United has really get their act together.
Great stuff, Brian. Enjoy the Christmas.
Thank you. It was great today, and it was brilliant to do a match with 8 goals. So I liked it.